All right, Cowboys Nation, buckle up because things are getting heated out in Dallas, and there's a lot to unpack. While the Max Crosby rumors may have taken a sudden cold shower, that doesn't mean all the smoke around the Cowboys is just fantasy. In fact, it might be quite the opposite. Let's get into it. Because even though the Raiders have told Crosby they're not moving him, there's a whole lot more going on behind the scenes that fans need to pay attention to. So let's start with the Max Crosby update. Tom Pelissero is reporting that the Raiders sat down with Crosby and assured him that they're not shopping him, and that a trade is off the table. That news might disappoint a lot of fans who were hyped about the idea of Crosby lining up opposite Micah Parsons. But let's be real for a second. Teams lie. We just lived through an entire offseason of misdirection around Micah Parsons, and we saw how that played out. So even though the official word is that Crosby is staying put, that doesn't mean conversations aren't happening behind the scenes. And trust me, when this much smoke is building, it usually means there's fire somewhere close. Now, here's what should have Cowboys fans excited. The Cowboys name is circulating heavily in league circles, not just in fan forums or social media speculations, but in real NFL conversations between executives, general managers, and insiders. Their name has come up in way too many reports from credible sources in situations that actually make sense from a football perspective. That's not a coincidence. You don't get this kind of buzz unless your front office is making calls, feeling things out, and positioning themselves to potentially make a move before the trade deadline. Whether or not it ends up being Crosby isn't the point anymore. The point is, the Cowboys are hunting. And with the trade deadline approaching fast, only about 2 weeks out, it's clear the organization is not sitting back. They're looking. They're testing the waters. They're trying to find the right piece to elevate this roster, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. So while some fans might feel disappointed that the Crosby dream is probably dead, the real takeaway is this. Dallas is trying to do something. They're not asleep at the wheel. They're not satisfied with where things stand. And that should fire up anybody who bleeds blue and silver. Now, I didn't just jump in here to throw cold water on trade talk. I also wanted to make something clear. This energy around Dallas is different. Reporters covering the situation have gone out of their way to include little caveats like, the Cowboys are surprised by being linked to Crosby, or there's no real trade talk happening. But why say that at all? Because they're trying to cover themselves in case something actually does go down. That tells me, and should tell you, that something is brewing behind the scenes. Executives don't just start name-dropping the Cowboys unless there's at least a hint of reality to the rumors. This team is making calls. They're seeing what's out there. Whether that means a blockbuster move or just a strategic depth addition, we're going to find out soon enough. What matters is that the intent is there. The Cowboys are not just riding out the season. They're looking to improve. They know they're close, and they know they have to be aggressive while their championship window is still open. And it's not just trade news that's buzzing around the star. The Cowboys made a couple of roster moves that could quietly end up being pretty significant. Wide receiver Jonathan Mingo was added to the active roster, while offensive lineman Trevor Keegan was placed on injured reserve. Now, Keegan's injury is unfortunate, but the addition of Mingo could be an interesting wrinkle in the offense depending on how they decide to use him. Even more importantly, Dallas opened up the practice windows for 3 key pieces: linebacker DeMarvion Overshown, safety Savion Red, and offensive lineman Cooper Beebe. This is huge. All 3 guys are trending toward a return, and with the bye week just a couple games away, it looks like the defense in particular is about to get a serious boost. If things go smoothly, we could be looking at a fully loaded Cowboys defense just in time for the second half of the season. And look, I don't want to put too much pressure on the rookies, especially Savion Red coming off injury, but the talent is there. This dude is built different. The potential is real. Let him ease his way back into game speed and playing shape, but keep your eyes on him. He's got the tools to be a game changer for this team. But now, let's pivot to the part of the story that's got the internet on fire and Cowboys fans split down the middle: Trevon Diggs. Man, what is going on with this dude? So apparently, Diggs blocked a Cowboys content creator online, and now everybody's talking. Look, you can say what you want about internet beefs or players being sensitive, but this whole situation says a lot more about where Diggs is mentally than anything else. It's wild because this wasn't even some wild personal attack. It was football talk. The kind of criticism that comes when you're not performing, or worse, when you're not even on the field and the team looks better without you. The moment you start caring more about who said what on social media than what your own organization is saying about your future, that's when it becomes a problem. And it looks like that's exactly what's happening with Diggs. Jerry Jones himself was asked about Diggs' concussion and what his status means for the team moving forward. And what Jerry said, let's just say it wasn't exactly a ringing endorsement. In fact, he flat out said that the team felt good about how the defense played without him and that he doesn't know what Diggs' status will be going forward. That's the kind of comment that lets you know someone's grip on their job is slipping. When the owner of the team is publicly talking about how good things look without you in the lineup, that's a warning shot. Diggs might want to spend less time scrolling the timeline and more time figuring out how he fits into this locker room moving forward. Because let's be honest, this defense looked sharper, more connected, and more locked in without him. And that's not an exaggeration. The tape doesn't lie. You weren't even at the stadium, bro. That says something. So now we've got a situation where fans are starting to question his commitment. His teammates might not be fully on board with his energy, and ownership is making it very clear they've seen life without him and might not hate it. That's a bad combination. When you're replaceable in the eyes of the people who sign your checks, your days are numbered unless something drastic changes. And all this talk about you're emotional, you're sensitive, you're blocking fans on the internet, it's just more smoke around a situation that already smells like trouble. Trevon, this is bigger than a few tweets. This is about your role on a team that's trying to chase a ring, and whether you're helping or hurting that cause. And when you take a step back and really look at the full picture, it starts to become obvious that this whole Diggs situation has been brewing for a while. This isn't just about one moment or one comment or one game. It's about patterns. It's about energy. It's about body language, locker room chemistry, leadership, and most of all, accountability. The fact that Trevon Diggs is out here more focused on who's roasting him online than what the Cowboys are doing on the field is a massive red flag. And it's not just fans noticing. It's starting to reflect in how the organization is treating him. That comment from Jerry Jones wasn't accidental. He doesn't say things off the cuff without knowing exactly how they'll be interpreted. Saying publicly that the team felt good about their defensive performance without Diggs is calculated. That's a message being sent, loud and clear. And here's the thing, he's not wrong. The secondary looked more disciplined. The communication looked sharper. The entire unit played like a squad that had something to prove, and maybe, just maybe, like they were tired of the extra drama and noise. Let's not forget the infamous sideline moment from a couple seasons ago, when Diggs was seen screaming at Dak Prescott. At the time, it was brushed off as competitiveness, two guys wanting to win. But now, with more context, that moment hits a little different. Because now we're seeing a pattern. A pattern of a guy who seems more interested in being seen as that dude than in being a true team-first player. And you can feel it. The whole me over we attitude doesn't fly in a locker room that's built on sacrifice and unity, especially not when you're missing games and the team isn't missing you. Look, no one is saying Trevon Diggs isn't talented. When he's locked in, he's one of the most dynamic cornerbacks in the league. Ball hawk instincts, elite athleticism, the ability to change a game in one snap. That's real. But talent doesn't mean much if you're not mentally bought in. If you're not riding for the guys next to you. And more, it's starting to feel like Diggs is on his own island. And I don't mean that in a good cornerback way. You also have to think about what this means for team chemistry. The Cowboys are in a window right now. This is a roster with elite players in their prime. Micah Parsons is a once-in-a-generation weapon. CeeDee Lamb is blossoming into a top-tier wideout. The offensive line is sturdy. The defensive line is terrifying. And the secondary, when healthy and focused, is championship caliber. But here's the thing. When you're chasing a title, you can't afford distractions. You can't afford selfish energy in the building. One wrong vibe can throw off an entire unit. And based on the body language of this team, when Diggs isn't around versus when he is, there's a clear difference. And that brings us to the next part of this, his future in Dallas. It's no secret that Diggs got paid. He got his money. And once you get paid, expectations go through the roof. You're no longer just the young playmaker with potential. You're now a franchise player. You're expected to lead. You're expected to produce. And you're expected to hold yourself to a higher standard, especially when things get tough. But what we're seeing from Diggs right now doesn't reflect that maturity. Blocking fans on social media, ducking accountability, and bringing unnecessary attention to himself during a stretch where he isn't even playing? That's not leadership. That's not focus. That's ego. And ego will destroy a locker room faster than a losing streak. So where does this go from here? Well, that depends on how Diggs responds. If he takes this moment as a wake-up call, locks in mentally, gets healthy, and recommits to the team, then maybe there's still a path for him to be a big piece of this defense going forward. But if he keeps going down this path, where everything feels like it's about him, then yeah, the trade rumors are only going to get louder. And let's be honest, if the front office starts feeling like the team is better off without him, and that his value is peaking while he's still relatively young and healthy, they're not going to hesitate. This is a business. Feelings don't factor into roster decisions. Production, chemistry, and trajectory do. And right now, Trevon Diggs is losing ground in all three. The Cowboys have shown repeatedly that they're not afraid to make bold moves when they think it'll help the team, no matter the name, no matter the paycheck. So if Diggs doesn't shift gears fast, that pink slip might be closer than he thinks. Let's also not forget the rise of the young guys. You've got guys like Darren Bland stepping up and showing out. The defense isn't just surviving without Diggs. In some ways, it's thriving. That's not to say they don't need talent like his, but it does beg the question. If the system is working without you, how valuable are you really? That's the kind of question that starts echoing through the hallways of a front office when they're evaluating long-term roster strategy. And if Bland and the other young corners continue to develop, it becomes easier and easier to imagine a future without Diggs. The truth is, Cowboys Nation loves its stars, but only the ones who ride for the team. Once it starts feeling like you're playing for yourself, the patience runs out fast. And Diggs is flirting with that line. He's still got time to pull it back, but that window isn't going to stay open forever. You can't be a distraction and underperform. You can't stir up drama off the field while missing games and expect everyone to just fall in line. Not on a team that's trying to win now. Not in a league where every roster spot matters. Before we roll on, subscribe to Cowboys Wire News, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Your support keeps the Dallas Cowboys updates coming. Tell us what you think in the comments. In a move that has left the NFL world buzzing, rumors are swirling that SAQUON Barkley, one of the league's most electrifying running backs, has signed with the Dallas Cowboys. The news, still unconfirmed by official sources, has sparked a frenzy among fans and analysts alike, igniting speculation about how this unexpected acquisition could reshape the Cowboys' offense. Barkley, known for his explosive speed, agility, and ability to turn broken plays into highlight reels, would be a game-changer for a franchise hungry to reclaim its former glory. Insiders suggest that the deal, if finalized, could represent a bold statement by the Cowboys front office, signaling their intent to aggressively pursue championship contention. For years, Dallas has struggled to find consistency in the backfield, relying on a rotating cast of running backs that never fully delivered. Barkley's arrival could solve that puzzle, giving quarterback Dak Prescott a dynamic weapon in both the running and passing game. Analysts are already debating how the Cowboys might restructure their offensive scheme to maximize Barkley's unique skill set, with some predicting a more versatile, high-octane attack that keeps defenses guessing. The potential signing also raises questions about the NFC East landscape. Teams like the Eagles and Giants have long relied on stout defenses and strategic running games, but Barkley's presence in Dallas could shift the balance of power. Fans are speculating about what this could mean for playoff prospects, with some suggesting that the Cowboys could immediately become serious Super Bowl contenders. Social media is ablaze with reactions ranging from disbelief to sheer excitement, with hashtags trending nationwide as fans imagine Barkley in the iconic silver and blue. While the details remain murky, including contract terms and potential trade implications, the mere whisper of Barkley joining the Cowboys has sent shockwaves through the league. If true, it represents one of the most stunning offseason moves in recent memory, a headline-grabbing acquisition that could redefine the Cowboys' identity for years to come. In the meantime, fans, pundits, and rivals alike are left to wonder. Is this the beginning of a new era in Dallas, or just another tantalizing rumor in the always unpredictable NFL landscape? That's a wrap from Cowboys Wire News. For breaking Cowboys updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Tell us your take in the comments.